What does your dream job look like? Does it involve leaning back in your chair with your feet on your desk while money just pours into your bank account? The truth is that wouldn't actually make you happy. But what would? What makes for a truly great career? The kind of job that leaves you excited to get up in the morning and go to work. The characteristics that make a job great haven't changed in 2,000 years. Today we'll show how a recent book on this topic, So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, and we'll show how it lines up with the parable of the talents in 4 different ways. What do I do first? If I'm looking for a truly great job, what's my first step? Where does that lead me? What are the consequences of that? We'll show that it actually leads you towards a great job, which has 2 characteristics. If you want to go really deep into the parable of the talents, I have another video on that, which I'm going to link at the end of this video. Today, I'm just going to summarize the very first part of the parable, Luke chapter 19, verses 11 through 17. There's a nobleman who goes off to a far country to be made king. In the Luke version, he gives 10 different servants 1 mina each. So it's not actually a talent, it's a mina. Much less value than a talent. A mina is around $12,000. So one of these servants is super effective in doing this. He multiplies it to be 10 minas. So he makes $120,000 roughly and presents that to the master when he comes back. What does the master say to him? "Well done, good servant. Because you have been faithful in a very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities. Let's see how that fits into this chart. In the book by Cal Newport, So Good They Can't Ignore You, he starts out by saying that in order to get a dream job, like a really great job, develop the skills to be great at your current job. It's not to jump out there and follow your passions. It's wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, get really good at it. Really throw yourself into it, train yourself, go above and beyond to become excellent at your current job. This will lead you to becoming so good they can't ignore you, which is the title of the book. So you'll become so good that you'll attract the notice of your boss or potential customers, and that'll lead to either a promotion or to, having customers enough that you can start your own business and kind of build your own dream job as an entrepreneur. Notice how this lines up with the parable of the talents. In the parable, Jesus is saying that we need to be faithful in even the small things. So this servant managed $12,000, which was basically an insignificant amount of money to the nobleman who had given it to him. Obviously, when he was later given 10 cities to be in charge of, it shows that $12,000 versus 10 cities is minuscule. So after you've built up the necessary skills, gotten noticed at your current job, where does that take you? It gives you the opportunity to go into something that could truly be a dream job for you. Cal Newport argues that it has 2 characteristics. The first one is freedom and control. So this is a job where you aren't micromanaged all the time. You have a good amount of choice in terms of maybe working schedule or what projects you work on. There's different criteria of freedom and control. And for each person, the criteria that they most care about is different. Maybe a great job for one person, it has to be 9 to 5. Those are the set hours. They don't get to choose those. But during those hours, they actually have a lot of freedom and control in what they're actually doing. Now, in the parable, this guy was put in charge of 10 entire cities. So while he was given a lot of responsibility, and that can be constricting in some ways, he was also given a ton of autonomy. In other words, freedom or control in how he would manage those 10 cities. He could probably choose in which of those 10 cities he was going to live. He's probably going to need to travel around them, and in order to, see what's going on in each one, he can probably set his own schedule for that. Now, the second characteristic of a great job that is mentioned in this book is it's one that gives you mission and purpose. It's contributing to something that you truly see as valuable and important in this world. In the parable of the talents, it's the same thing. Remember that This whole parable is about the kingdom of God. The more faithful we are in the small things, God's going to give us greater responsibility and greater impact for his kingdom. God created the world with natural laws and principles. And this story shows us that this basic principle, those who are faithful in little will be given much, is actually true at multiple levels. At a higher level, the level that the parable's really referring to, it's saying that when we are faithful in this life and the work we've been given, then when Jesus comes fully into his kingdom, he'll give us more responsibility. At the same time, within this life itself, call that the principle at the lower level, if we're faithful at a entry-level job, something that we're not really excited about or passionate about, but we're faithful at it, then we'll eventually be promoted and have more opportunities to have a job that gives us more freedom and control and a bigger impact in the world. If you want to go much deeper into the parable of the talents, I have another video on it I'll link here. So that video explores the differences between the Matthew passage, which is actually the parable of the talents, and the Luke passage, which is the parable of the Minas.